Today, we're going to be talking about the often confused and sometimes interchangeably used terms of chronic illness and disability and how they can be different and yet connected at the same time. Hi, I'm Jameson, and welcome to my channel. I'm an award winning writer who has written for the New York Times, the LA Times, and the Washington Post on topics relating to chronic illness and disability. If you're interested in such topics, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon so you get notified when I post new videos. All right, let's get into it. Even though a chronic illness can be a disability, that doesn't necessarily mean that they all are disabilities. Some chronic illnesses are mild, and the government and the medical establishment don't consider them to be disabilities. In some cases, even the people themselves don't consider them to have disabilities. A few years ago, I asked one of my friends who has Lyme disease if she considers herself to have a disability, and she said no because she felt that her chronic illness didn't impede her life to a large enough extent that she would consider herself to have had a disability. Now, here's where things get a bit tricky. The government and the medical establishment may categorize someone as being able bodied and not have a chronic illness, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that person isn't significantly impaired by their chronic illness. In fact, many chronic illnesses can have potential to cause significant physical impairments if left unchecked and poorly managed. Even a mild chronic illness can be debilitating and eventually turn into a more severe form of that illness and then subsequently be considered a disability. This is essentially what happened to me in 2015 when I first got sick. I didn't consider myself to have a disability. I lived my life on my own terms without really making any concessions to my illness as I worked full time. But then in 2015, I eventually got a lot sicker and I became bedridden. I couldn't speak. I couldn't eat solid food. I couldn't even sit up in bed. I was the sickest I had ever been, sicker than I could ever have imagined. And it wasn't until then that I actually considered myself to have a disability and really take into account the severity and the seriousness of my chronic illness. The danger, in my experience and others like it, is we often overlook the challenges and obstacles faced by living with a chronic illness simply because we don't always visibly display signs of that chronic illness or that disability. This is where the term chronic illness comes from. Living with a chronic illness can have profound impacts on an individual's life and their well being. While society, including ourselves, may not always recognize these impacts, it's important to know the relationship between a chronic illness and a disability and how they can be connected and intertwined and how they can be different. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think that all chronic illnesses should be considered disabilities, regardless of the severity level? And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon so you get notified when I post more videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.